Coming to you live from the MediaPlex in downtown Windsor, this is a presentation of St. Clair College Journalism.
Good evening, I'm Miller Hill and you are watching MediaPlex News Now. Vinyl records are fast becoming a rarity, but as Matt Brecker reports, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
If you're of a certain age, you may have a love for vinyl records. I still have one of my first ones. Collecting these classic albums is an increasingly popular hobby, but also a profitable one. When the needle hits the groove of a vinyl record, most people hear the hiss and the pop, but some hear a different sound. Some people collect vintage records for the fun and the nostalgia, but it can also be a moneymaker.
The first one I have is one I picked up in Florida years ago. It's Alice in Chains' self-titled album. They call it Tripod. So I picked it up for $20 and now it's selling for about $150.
Many valuable finds are discovered when buying bulk lots of records. Last month, Hicks and some of his collector's friends bought 400 records, and everyone took turns picking out what they wanted. John Manuel made quite a profit.
Actually, the most valuable one I picked up was actually one that I picked out downstairs when we bought a lot. It was this old Canadian psychedelic band called The Spirit of Christmas, and it books for like $300.
Finds like these are big profit when it comes to buying records in bulk.
On the main body that we were doing the draft for was about $400, I believe.
Bulk lots aren't the only place you could find rarities. Local record shops like Dr. Disc in downtown Windsor are a great place to find hidden treasures.
Just keep coming into your favorite record store and digging through the bins, and you know, you won't miss out on any opportunities that way. You always can find some buried treasures.
Though Manuel and Hicks made some nice profit off of collecting records, they have similar reasons for their love of the classic format.
I like it because I like holding something tangible in my hand, and it's really fun to listen to.
It's tangible is the main reason for me. It's something to hold, something to lose yourself in.
Rare records can sell for anywhere between $100 to $5,000 on eBay, like this Pink Floyd album here. If you think you may have a rarity or two in your collection, the website popsych.com is a great resource to keep current on record prices.
Now let's take a quick look at the weather with Justin Prince, who's standing by at the corner of University and Victoria. Justin?
Thanks, Miller. Of course, one of the obvious changes is how light it is at this time of year. Pardon me. One of the reasons is daylight savings time. Right now is 16 degrees Celsius, and tonight it will be partly cloudy with a low of -3. I'll be back a little later in the show to let you know about our very spring-like 3-day weather forecast. Back to you, Miller.
Thanks, Justin. Windsor kids celebrated literacy at the Chicharo Club in Windsor. Dan Gray tells us more.
Books such as A Bimba Boomba and Good Fortune were center stage at the annual Young Authors Conference put on by Pediatric Read and held at the Chicharo Club in Windsor. The conference is held at the end of Black History Month to celebrate a day of literacy. Cassandra Curtis is the president of Pediatric Read and says they bring in authors to speak to the kids.
We invite 3 to 4 authors from all over Canada and from the US. So we try to bring in authors that won the Newbery Award, the Coretta Scott King Award, the Governor General's Award, and we host students from JK to grade 8.
Linda Flay is a local author who recently published her first book, A Bimba Boomba. She spent time interacting with senior kindergarten to grade 2 kids during her sessions. She taught them about vowels and consonants and had them ask questions to each other about the book. She believes it's important for kids to take part in events such as these.
So that children learn that it's important to know literacy, how to read and write, and to open up their imagination and discover new things.
TD Canada Trust sponsors the event. Mandy Furtado is the District Manager of Sales and Strategy for TD. She says events such as these promote childhood literacy.
It's important for us to be at an event like this today because our youth are our leaders and we have to promote literacy at a young age. And as TD and as an organization and as employees of TD, we love to be out at events like this and supporting our youth to be connected with authors.
Almost 1,000 students came from all over Windsor and Essex County. Grade 5 and 6 students came from Lakeshore Discovery School. Caroline Dobrik is a teacher at Lakeshore. She said it was great to get away from the classroom and learn about writing in a different forum.
They're walking away with some new techniques to begin story writing, and they've heard some interesting stories of how authors began their journey as becoming writers and illustrators.
Pediatric Read is already getting ready for next year's event, to be held at the Chicharo Club during the last week of February. For MediaPlex News, I'm Dan Gray.
A deadly infection is putting man's best friend at risk. Sean Garrity has more on the story and how you can protect your pet.
This is De Niro, a tanned 85-pound, happy, loving family dog.
This is a dog that sleeps in my bed, lays on my couch. He's treated like one of my kids.
Kim Ribberty says De Niro was always a content and playful dog. Then one day, he stopped being himself. That's when Ribberty knew something was seriously wrong with her pet.
The next day, he don't want to go outside, he wouldn't get up, and he looked like just sad, like sickly, and late, like really lethargic, laying around, didn't want to do nothing. He looked like he lost like weight in 24 hours. I'm thinking, what the heck's going on?
After realizing he was not getting better, Ribberty waited a day and then took her pooch to the closest veterinary animal clinic. That same night, De Niro took a turn for the worse. The 7-year-old Pitbull died of leptospirosis just 2 days after his first symptoms.
You don't know, like, you know what I mean? You just think it's like, okay, he's, you know, upset stomach. I didn't think anything of it. Like, I wouldn't think if I would have known he was that critically sick, I'd have took him in immediately.
Here in Ribberty's backyard is where she says her dog contracted the fatal infection.
Figured was, a rat had been out here, peed. He'd been out like right afterwards.
Leptospirosis is a bacterial infection that is transmitted through the urine of an infected animal, and it is usually passed to them from rats and mice. A.J. Kaler is a veterinarian at the Central Animal Hospital in Windsor, and he is shocked at how many dogs have died from the deadly virus.
Oh my God, last year lots in Windsor, lots. I will say 40 to 50 maybe.
Kaler also says there are several ways you can keep your dog from contracting this bacterial killer, but some people are just not following the precautions.
Vaccination is really good for them, it prevents them, but if you can prevent, prevention is always better than cure.
The shelter operations manager at the Humane Society in Windsor is familiar with lepto and says dogs are not the only ones that can be carriers.
It can be spread to humans, so you will notice if you're treating your dog that the veterinary staff will wear gloves and protective gear.
Lepto is a dog-killing virus, and the best way to prevent this from happening to your dog is to get them vaccinated. Vaccinations can run from $80 to $100, and veterinarians are urging pet owners, if you feel that your dog could be sick, you need to bring them to the closest animal clinic immediately. For MediaPlex News, I'm Sean Garrity.
The Canadian dollar has been declining in recent weeks. We sent reporter Justin Prince to find out how this has been affecting the economy in Windsor.
The Canadian dollar is expected to drop to its lowest point since November 2007, but according to some, the lower Canadian dollar is a good thing for the Windsor economy. Since February 2014, the value of the Canadian loonie has decreased by more than 10%. As of February 25th, that same value is less than 80 cents US and has been that way since January 29th. As well, banking and investment corporations are projecting the value to go as low as 69 cents US. But Windsorites say the lower Canadian dollar is not all doom and gloom.
Well, actually, it's good for us. I'm a tool maker, so most of our tooling from our manufacturers goes stateside. So it's a bonus for us.
My wife doesn't go shopping across border as much because it's now more expensive to go across border, and because the oil prices have dropped, even it's not worth to go across the border as much for gas anymore. So if people will stay home and buy in Canada, it'll be better for all of us.
Matt Marchand, the president and CEO of the Windsor Regional Chamber of Commerce, agrees. He says the lower Canadian dollar could mean big profits for local businesses and the tourism industry.
Well, on balance, it's a positive for the Windsor Essex and Southwestern Ontario for that matter. The low dollar will encourage people to come over from the U.S. to Windsor Essex. At the same time, it will make our manufacturing sector more competitive. It will help our exports. And at the same time, it will have a dampening effect on an issue here of cross-border shopping, which will be helpful to our local retailers.
Now, the value of this one small coin, of course, can change over time. whether you spend it on a loaf of bread or a bottle of water, and could also not mean that much for some. But for Windsor and Essex County, the value of this coin can mean more business in the near future for the region. From MediaPlex News Now, I'm Justin Prince.
On this edition of 3 Minutes With, Justin Prince sat down with the president of Windsor Essex Chamber of Commerce, Matt Marchand.
Hello, I'm Justin Prince, and welcome to 3 Minutes With the president and CEO of the Windsor Essex Regional Chamber of Commerce, Matt Marchand. Matt, the Canadian loonie has been under 80 cents US for the past few months now. What does the lower dollar mean for Windsor? Like, is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, good afternoon, Justin, and thanks for having me on the program. It's wonderful to be here. The 80-cent dollar is probably a good thing for the Windsor Essex area on a number of fronts. First, it makes our manufacturing exports a little bit more competitive. It does have a dampening effect on cross-border shopping. And historically, we've had, for the last number of years anyway, a higher dollar, which has, to some extent, encouraged some cross-border shopping, which would happen as the dollar approaches even. And secondly, it's made our manufacturing base a little bit less competitive. So it's a welcome change from what we've had over the last number of years.
Okay, with that, can you expand upon your answer a little bit? Like, what are the benefits for the lower dollar for a normal person, let's say, walking on the street outside of our building compared to, let's say, a person who's running a business?
Well, a couple things. One is that the lower dollar does a couple things. One, it attracts Americans to come to Canada. So that person walking down the street may own a business or may have an interest in a business, and that will attract more Americans to come here. For example, our casino, world-class casino, better competitive advantage for Americans to come over here. Secondly, the whole lower dollar allows our manufacturing sector and our agriculture sector, which, depending on how you measure it, is the number one or number two industry in Ontario, certainly the number one industry in the county, and a lower dollar will make our exports just that much more competitive, keep more dollars here in Windsor Essex. And as I said, for the last number of years, we've had headwinds in that regard. It's nice to get a little bit of break from that, at least for now.
So now on March 3rd, Bloomberg had released an article focusing on Windsor's manufacturing sector and the lower Canadian dollar regarding all of this. In that article, Unifor Local 444 President Dino Chidio said the lower Canadian dollar maintains the current people here, but the lower currency on its own does not fix our problem. What is your take on that?
Well, you should know, Justin, that the Windsor Essex Regional Chamber, along with Unifor and the University of Windsor, partnered on what was called an auto strategy back in May. And one of the ideas that we came up with was, yeah, a currency is great, the lower dollar is great. However, a broader, more comprehensive approach to manufacturing, especially the auto sector, is in order, and we're calling that sort of an auto strategy. And sort of hearing that more and more across Ontario, that we need a comprehensive plan to attract and retain jobs here in Ontario. Other jurisdictions have it, which is good for them, but it'd be great if we would have one that we've been lobbying with our colleagues in labor and in the academic community to have an auto strategy here in Ontario.
So what do you see in the immediate future for the city with the lower Canadian dollar and so forth?
Well, there's a couple things. One, again, it's going to do two things. One, attract more Americans over, and we're engaged with Windsor Essex Regional Chamber and its partners across Ontario in an effort to get more Americans over to Windsor Essex to spend their tourism dollars. And secondly, of course, people may have second thoughts about going over to Detroit or southeastern Michigan to shop when they can shop here in Windsor Essex. So it kind of benefits us on both sides.
This has been 3 Minutes with the president and CEO of the Windsor Essex Regional Chamber of Commerce, Matt Marchand.
Now it's time to check in with Justin Prince for our full weather forecast. Justin?
Thanks, Miller. Did you know that scientists have calculated there are about 760 thunderstorms every hour on Earth? Well, you don't have to worry about that this week, though. On Wednesday, we will see a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 7 and a low of 0. Thursday will be sunny with a high of 3 and a low of -4. And on Friday, there will be a chance of rain with a high of 7 and a low of -3. That's it for me from the corner of University and Victoria. Time to send it back to Miller in the studio. Miller?
Top Chef contestant Suzie Q is back in the studio with reporter Shelby Hernandez on this edition of 3 Minutes With.
Hi, I'm Shelby Hernandez, and today this is part 2 of my interview with MasterChef contestant Suzie Q. What was the audition process like?
audition in Toronto.
Yes.
I present my signature dish in Toronto way back to last year, July.
Right.
I present my signature dish, which is Asian Napa salad
Yes.
with lotus root
Yes.
and smoked salmon wrapped with sweet potatoes. And the judge pretty much likes it.
Yes.
So they choose me to be top 50.
Was it stressful during the audition process?
Very, very. They gave us only 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
That's all you have. And 3 minutes started until they say, hands up, you're done. You're done.
Oh, man.
Yes.
That must have been very, very intense
Yeah,
for you to
there
have
are
to do that.
thousand people waiting in line and go through every single step. It's very high pressure. They push you to the limit, for sure.
How did you go about preparing for the show?
I spent a lot of time. My audition dish that week, every day, I was eating Napa salad, rice, chicken wing. That's all I eat. Yeah, I have to prepare, learn some Canadian cuisine too, because I'm more traditional Asian cuisine, right? So I have to learn some baking.
Right. Was baking one of your weaknesses when it came to
Oh,
cooking?
of course. Back home in China, we were poor. We don't have oven. No, no microwave. So I never bake.
Yeah.
But I do lots of steam, pan fry. So when I came to this country, I learned from you guys how to bake. Bake cookie, bake cake.
What else were some of your weaknesses in cooking?
Barbecue, I guess.
Yeah.
Because we don't have backyard. We live in an apartment.
Right.
There's no barbecue, so I have to learn how to barbecue.
So I know you're a big fan of Canada, and I was just wondering if you could explain why. What makes it so special to live in Canada?
I came here with my ex-husband, okay? He was in the States, Boston University, to study. So I went there to visit him with my little boy. He was only 11. So I fell in love with this country. So after 3 months visit, we immigrated to Canada. Canada accepted us. So I really love this country. I feel like I have a freedom. I can do whatever I want.
That's all the time we have for today. I'm Shelby Hernandez, and we've just spent 3 minutes with MasterChef Canada contestant Suzie Q.
Where can teens go to have a good time and stay out of trouble? Dan Gray explains.
Sandwich Teen Action Group and Windsor Police recently held Badges, Basketball, and Bonding, an event that continues the long-standing relationship between the two organizations. Using team sports such as basketball and dodgeball, as well as after-school programming, STAG has been an anchor point for youth in the West End since 1988. John Elliott, the executive director of STAG and Ward 2 councillor, says the results speak for themselves. By bringing youth together with the resources they need, he says STAG keeps them away from negative influences in the community.
So, when you see a group of kids that are friends come here and just hanging out and they're somewhere where they're safe and there's no negative elements going on around here. We run a clean program, so no drugs, no alcohol, nothing like that. So the kids, when they're here, they're safe, and that's why they come.
Windsor Police Services Youth Empowerment and Safety Initiative work with STAG to put on this event. The initiative looks to partner with groups to bring and promote safety awareness, healthy relationships, and positive decision-making among youth. Deputy Chief Vince Power credits places such as the Action Group with keeping kids out of trouble. He says police do notice a difference.
So the STAG has been operating here for years, and the program they've offered the youth out in the West End has certainly impacted the West End in a positive way, and Windsor Police certainly recognizes that and supports that 100%.
The Action Group offers activities beyond just playing sports to the youth. There are computers available, a game room, and programs that help you with your homework and teach you to cook. Matthew just found the resources available to him here a few weeks ago. He says it's a great place to go and beats staying at home.
What do you like about here? What do you like about STAG?
There's lots of activities to do.
According to this document, Windsor Police have said that the creation of Sandwich Teen Action Group has helped lower the crime rates on the west side.
For MediaPlex News, I'm Dan Gray.
5 Holy Name students are looking forward to the next step in their education after getting full-ride sports scholarships. Bobby Jo Keats has the story.
5 students at Holy Names High School are looking forward to the future after accepting full U.S. scholarships. The students signed their letters of intent on February 4th and are now preparing for what lies ahead. As they anticipate going away to their new schools and playing for new teams, they are enjoying a sense of pride in their hard work. Amber Leffler is one of those students. She is a member of the Windsor Essex swim team and will be attending Oakland University. Leffler says she practices at the Windsor International Aquatic and Training Center 9 times a week for a total of 15.5 hours.
I just thought swimming was something I would do for fun, and I was just swimming to go best times and go to meets and have fun with my friends. And then now that I'm just really dedicated, and I can see with getting my scholarship and everything how far I can take it. So it's just dedication, hard work, and that drive to want to always do best times.
Other scholarship recipients include Alec D'Angela, Carly Fiorito, Kiana Zuck, and Alicia Amante. As the students prepare to attend their respective universities, Leffler is feeling positive.
It's just a whole new atmosphere. Your parents aren't around, you're just with your friends, well, new friends 24/7, and your parents put a lot of pressure on you, so there's that pressure from the coaches because it's a full ride, but then there's also that feeling of a little bit more ease and relaxation.
Leffler says she is looking forward to the next Horizon League NCAA championship with her new team, the Golden Grizzlies. I'm Bobby Jo Keats reporting for MediaPlex News.
Now it's time for our weekly look at the local sports scene on this edition of Sports Talk with Christian Bouchard and Michael Hugel.
Good evening, sports fans. This is MediaPlex Sports Talk. I'm Michael Hugel.
I'm Christian Bouchard.
The week of sports is underway in Windsor as the OFSA Championships come to the St. Denis Center and St. Clair Sportsplex. The St. Anne Saints and Holy Names Knights are the regional representatives in the Quad A division.
Holy Names started out with a bang, Mike. They were down 7 in the 4th quarter, but let me tell you, they fought back, brought it back to 2 points with less than 10 seconds. And Mike, rather than tell them what happened, we're going to show them.
In dramatic fashion, Isaiah Familia punches the Knights' ticket into the second round.
I'm at a loss of words. You know, every kid, when they grow up, they dream to hit a game winner. I've been playing basketball for, 12 years now, never hit a game winner, and it's a blessing to hit at this stage, especially against a good team.
Exciting stuff indeed from the high school circuit, Mike. But not to be outdone, though, the University of Windsor's women team went on to defeat the Ryerson Rams in the OUA championship game. Mike, this marks the 6th time in the past 7 years that they went on to capture an OUA title. But don't worry, they'll be back in the Nationals. They'll be looking to capture their 5th straight Bronze Baby Trophy.
And before we get out of here, the Junior C Hockey Championships are in a deadlock at 2 games apiece, with Game 5 going tonight between the Essex 73s and Amherstburg Admirals. Puck drop is 7 p.m. at the Essex Recreational Complex.
I'm Christian Bouchard.
I'm Michael Hugel, throwing it back to the news desk.
The Windsor Express is going for their 2nd straight NBL championship. Justin Prince has the story.
All aboard and full speed ahead. The Windsor Express has started their journey to try and repeat as National Basketball League of Canada champions. The team started their playoff run on a positive note, beating the Mississauga Power 107-89 in front of more than 950 people at the Windsor Family Credit Union Center March 7th. Lexa Page, who has been an assistant coach for the Express since 2012, says the team intends to win every game at home in this year's playoffs. But for the 2013-14 MBLC champions, the past is just that.
What happened last year is history. We want to make new history this year. So whatever we did last year, for some of the guys that haven't been here, it's a new entity. So what we like to do is win it for the guys that haven't won it, and win it again for the guys that have won it.
Both Page and Gary Gibson, a starter for the Express, say, though, that they don't want to get ahead of themselves.
Our main goal is just to take one game at a time and just try to play team basketball, because we got a great team, we got great team chemistry, and we got a lot of great players on our team. So as long as we play team basketball and give our A effort, we should have no problem.
Gibson, though, also made one very bold promise for how the Express would end their season.
We just about to get this repeat. That's what we're going to do.
For the Windsor Express, a team with championship aspirations for this season and beyond, only time will tell if they'll end off this season as MBLC champions as they prepare for Game 2 of their series against the Mississauga Power here at the WFCU Center for March 10th. For MediaPlex News Now, I'm Justin Prince.
A local lifter is heading to the World Championship in Finland for weightlifting. Sean Garrity reports.
Kelly Branton likes to squat 800 pounds, pull a 20-ton fire truck, and occasionally deadlift a Mazda 14 times. Branton is a professional weightlifter, and he says it takes a different kind of man to pump iron.
There's a state of mind. I feel like some guys have it and some guys don't. Like when you're getting under the bar and you go to do that weight, you got to have a couple screws loose to get up to those big weights and get it done. So I think I got a couple loose, so I get it done.
Last Saturday, the Windsor Strongman bench pressed 556 pounds at the Arnold's Classic in Columbus, Ohio, which makes him the #1 ranked lifter in Canada. And that win was just a taste. Branton says his dreams are set on a bigger prize.
Like my goal is not on having the best squat or having the best deadlift or having the best bench. I want to win worlds. I don't care about being good at one lift. You got to be good at all three to win. So.
Yeah. His workout partner, Jerry Marentet, who's broken over 300 Canadian weightlifting records, says Branton expects progression every day in the gym.
He'll never be satisfied. I mean, being #1, you still want to be higher than that. You want to put those numbers out of reach so the next generation of lifters got to chase him.
Branton heads to Finland in 96 days for his first ever World Championship competition. For MediaPlex News, I'm Sean Garrity.
Are you looking to see what St. Clair College has to offer? On Saturday, March 28th, St. Clair College will be hosting an open house on all campuses from 10 a.m. until 1 p.m. Check the St. Clair website for more details. Windsor is shaking off the chill of winter, and we sent reporter Sean Garrity to check it out. Take a look. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Miller Hill, and this has been MediaPlex News Now.
MediaPlex News Now is a production of the St. Clair College Journalism Program.